Welcome to the Blooming League of Original Podcasts.
G'day and welcome to another extra special edition of Thrash and Treasure, the torture chamber musical podcast that sets out to break the sound barrier by torturing a little weirdo into submission. Speaking of, I'm Aaron, and I'm joined as usual by Heavy Metal's answer to Dr. Seuss, my co-host Gareth. How you going, mate?
I like that. I'm going great. Now I feel like I need to rhyme my introduction now.
Yeah.
I'm the redhead in the hat, so I'm going great.
Well, you are. That was a compliment, by the way. Had you been offended by it, I probably would have hung up the call.
No. I love the Dr. Seuss.
Yeah. And now you're back in lockdown, aren't you?
I am 2 days into lockdown. I've gone stir crazy. I invented bacon and egg tacos for breakfast this morning.
It's been 2 days, for crying out loud. It took me 6 weeks before I started making fucking paper. And that's just with all the rubbish from all the spring cleaning I did during winter. I was bored.
I didn't want to go out, and I had tacos and I had bacon and eggs, and I went, hey, that's a breakfast.
You did too, didn't you? I saw the photo. So thank you very much for that. Now I didn't.
Because I tweeted about it so everyone knows.
Yeah. Now I've lost my appetite.
It was tasty. Sriracha sauce. I had a bit of spice. It was good.
Did it?
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
So we're lucky. We've just gotten rid of our kids. We've sent the 11-year-old off to school. So
yeah, well, our school was supposed to start Monday, and everyone's back from school. Everyone's got an extra week holiday, which they're all terribly disappointed about.
I know. So. I'm looking. You know what? When I was a kid, I would have loved it. I really would have.
Yeah, I would have if I'd have gone to school, but I didn't go enough to really miss the holiday.
Well. As an adult, it's so awful for hermits. I'm fine at home. I could do years and years and years at home, no worries. But with everyone else here too,
yeah, it's no fun.
Oh God, no, it's not. But anyways, guess what?
Yes, what?
You're mad and I'm not. But another diva has entered the building, and it is my absolute honor to introduce our listeners to our next guest. A former Canadian Idol finalist who made her US theatrical debut in today's Chosen musical. Imagine a world where Liza Minnelli ran around a corner and bumped into Betty Boop, and the outcome was 100% sweetheart. And if COVID would go away, she could come from away again as Janice Mosher in the original Canadian production of the first musical, which Gareth awarded 5 stars. Do you remember that? But anyways, it's not about that. Please give a warm, traditional Aussie g'day, how's it going, to Steffi D. DiDomenicantonio.
Oh, hi, you two. How are you?
Very good, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm sorry, that was the most... I was trying so hard not to laugh on mic when you were introducing me. That is the most hysterical way I've ever heard anybody introduce me on anything in my entire life.
Good. I tell
Liza Minnelli ran into Betty Boop.
Yeah.
I'm so dead.
I was trying. Look, I originally wrote it as if you were to compare the two or something like that, and I thought we're inviting people onto our show, and if I don't make a guest laugh during their introduction, I failed.
Because it's all downhill from there.
Plain and simply.
Oh my gosh! Well, you succeeded today.
Yep,
truly,
awesome.
You did. Yes, thank you for that.
I got Dr. Seuss and you got
you did. Yours was really funny too.
There's an imbalance here.
Right.
Oh, fantastic.
I love it.
No, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
How's your lockdown?
Of course. I'm so thrilled to be here. I couldn't resist the premise of your podcast. I thought it was so clever and so funny that I had to just come and experience it for myself. Absolutely. Yes.
Well,
but
at least someone does.
My God, of course. So lockdown. I'm in Toronto, Ontario, Canada right now. It's extremely cold. We're in the middle of winter. It's about minus 15 degrees Celsius outside. And we've been in a pretty intense lockdown for the last couple of months. Listen, it's been locked down on and off for quite a bit. Last summer, we went down to 50 cases a day, and now we're way back up again to maybe 2,000 or 3,000 cases a day in Ontario. So it's not great. I'm really excited for theater to come back at some point so we can go back to the stage, go back to Come From Away, go back to life being sort of normal. I would just so kill to go to a bar right now, even to listen to a heavy metal band. I would do just about anything to just see theater again, or like be in a room with a group of people. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, well, ironically, or not ironically, I'm Alanis Morissette using that word wrong. But coincidentally, the last professional theater I saw was a year and a half ago or so. It was actually September 11, 2019. I saw Come From Away.
Ah, perfect.
The first musical I saw when theater opened up again was Come From Away, which I saw only a week ago. So we would have talked about that in the last episode, which we haven't yet recorded. So obviously I would have brought that up because I was very excited to be back in a theater. It was 100% capacity. Everyone was in masks. So there was no spacing between seats. It was thrilling to just be back in the theater. Look, I probably could have seen Mamma Mia and I would have been wrapped just to be in a theater.
Listen.
And nothing's making me see Mamma Mia.
So jealous of Australia, the Australian company of Come From Away right now, for getting the opportunity to do the show again. I think all of us in Toronto are just like crying at the jealousy that they get to do the show again. I'm so jealous also that you saw it. Yeah. It's the last thing you saw and the first thing you saw.
Yes.
Perfect.
Bookend my quarantine with one of the most beautiful musicals I have ever seen.
And Gareth, you gave it 5 stars, I heard.
I did.
You love it.
It snuck up on me. It hit me.
Yes.
It hit me right here. That was the problem.
Right in the feels.
I didn't know anything about it because I don't know anything about. And
yes, of course.
And I just put it on, and all of a sudden the lyrics came through in the words, and I was saying to Aaron on the show when we did it, I was walking, and it was the sunshine, and I had my headphones in, and I was just listening to it, and it was just me. No one else was around, and I'm just out walking, and I got sucked right in, and I just went, you know what? I would see this show. I would go to the show. So
right.
I think it's such a surprising production, and it's almost a ridiculous premise. How can it?
Sure.
It could have been. Honestly, it could have been a massive dumpster fire if it wasn't done right.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I mean, when people ask me, now there are like only a handful of people who don't know what Come From Away is at this point, especially Canadians. But I do run into the odd person who's like, oh, have you been in any shows I've seen? And I'll say, Come From Away. And then they'll say, I've never heard of it. What's it about?
Don't tell them. That's where you don't tell them.
Right.
Yeah, I never
really
tell
hard to
anyone.
say, like, oh, it's a musical about 9/11 where the planes landed in Gander, Newfoundland, and people are like, they made a musical about 9/11. Who are these sick people? But it's incredible. It is beyond surprising how heartwarming and heartfelt the story is. It really creeps up on me too, and I've done the show 850 times at this point.
Really? 850 times?
850 times before lockdown.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
And that's more than what you've done Spring Awakening, I believe.
That's correct. Perfect segue.
Wow.
I did
I do know my maths. Oh my God.
You do. I did Spring Awakening for 2 years, and over the span of that time, I did the show about 618 times.
Wow.
Crazy.
Well, at least Come From Away's uplifting.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
yes. I keep forgetting at how I had to, refresh my memory. I listened to the Spring Awakening album again, and I just it never ceases to amaze me how just gorgeous and depressing though. But the story is absolutely. It is nothing like Come From Away.
No. Well, we'll get to Spring Awakening. Obviously, we'll run through the metal because this week you chose our metal band, and Gareth refined it with the CD because I think he's having a little bit of a tantrum at me because all my guests keep picking his CDs.
Oh,
which is fine by me. Like that's fine. I'm having fun with that. But
did I have to change things? Which one was it? I don't know. I can't remember.
I don't know. but the power's taken out of Gareth's hands. So.
Oh no.
It's the
Gareth,
only...
I hope we're not in a fight. We haven't
It's-
met
oh,
and
look-
we're already in a fight.
Well,
No.
now I'm
It's a war. It's not a fight, honey. It's a
Oh
war.
God. Okay,
we
that's
haven't
even better.
we haven't hit Spring Awakening yet, so it's all right. It's not a fight yet. Don't worry.
No.
Not yet. Okay, good. Very good. Yes.
What did we listen to, Aaron?
Well, we listened to System of a Down
We did.
Toxicity.
Mhm.
We did.
Yeah, we
And
did.
It's a little bit.
If I can
So what?
get my notebook.
While you're looking for your notebook, there is a little backstory behind this one, Steffi.
Yes, there
And-
is.
Yeah.
Can I-
So what? Can you
Yes,
please tell the backstory, because I think it's great.
Absolutely. So listen, when Aaron reached out to me and said like, "Hey, do you want to be on our podcast? We do like heavy metal versus like musical theater. Do you know any like heavy metal? Like, do you want to pick an album?" And I said, "I'm definitely not a heavy metal person. Like, I don't I think at most I've heard some of it. It stresses me out. Like, I don't know, it does a lot of things to me and to my psyche, I feel.
Amen.
I will
Amen to
say that I thought about it a little bit while I was writing my email back to you, and I said, well, does System of a Down count as heavy metal? Because when I was in high school, let me just paint this picture for you. When I was in high school, I was doing a play with this guy called David, and he was a couple of years older than me. We went to arts high school together, and I was just a 15-year-old girl just in love. Okay. He was just the funniest and the most handsome and the best. And, he knew that, I think, but I tried to keep it a secret. And he used to listen to System of a Down all the time. And he many times told me, like, you need to listen to this album, like you need to listen to System of a Down. It's so profound and they're so political and they have so much to say and this and that, whatever. So of course, naturally, as any 15-year-old girl would do, I made I burned a bunch of mixtapes on CDs. You remember burning CDs? Like, come on,
yes.
guys.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I burned a bunch of System of a Down music, and I just, I guess, liked it or pretended to like it so this guy would like me. And so actually Toxicity, the heavy metal album we listened to for this episode, I was actually like pretty familiar with. There was a bunch that I wasn't, but most of the songs actually came flooding back to me
Oh,
and
wow.
reminded me of this love that I had for this man called David in
Ah.
high school. Yes.
Wow. Well, it's
See,
funny that
is
you
so sweet.
It is, isn't it? It's funny that
It
you
is.
put on System of a Down to impress the boy, because I turned it off to impress myself. So
There it
That's
is.
hilarious. I love it.
I think we
yeah.
know the direction of this
Oh,
review.
you mean
You
on
don't-
my end or Aaron's
No,
end?
no, on
No,
my end.
Aaron.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Let's hear it, Aaron. Like, what are your thoughts?
You don't
Mm.
know me, Gareth. You don't know me. Who do you think you are? All right.
You loved it.
When I first saw the cover, I said, Toxicity? Why would they pick an album named after my middle name? So I looked at the track list and noticed a bunch of mononymous titles with only 4 having 2 words. One even looked like someone just typed random letters. And one was just one letter. X. I mean, funny they say X marks the spot, because I found no treasure, only trash. Then there was the OG of cultural reappropriation with Chop Suey. I had forgotten this song completely, and upon rehearing it, I realized why. One hit wonder.
Ooh.
In fact, I have many memories from my punk days of metalheads playing this over and over. Much like Faith No More's Epic, I had no idea they had other songs. And whilst Deer Dance stood out to me, I can't quite gather how their music incited a riot. The only thing I'm enticed to do is head right to the door. Terrific
Wow.
punk.
Oh, sorry. That's wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Terrific puns aside, I noticed a slight punk edge to both music and vocals, which yet again didn't go unappreciated, especially since it wasn't as frequent as the grr grr grrs. Fun fact, an hour after listening to Chop Suey again for the first time in 19 years, I completely forgot what it sounded like again. I guess I really am traumatized by my mistakes made in my Mohawk days. Where was I? Oh, yeah. The grrrs. Nowadays, I can speak fluently to motorboats. The conclusion I came to is that System of a Down is perfect for someone with my unmedicated ADHD. Unsettled, erratic, indecisive, like someone blew up an angry balloon, then let it fly across the room in every direction. So when it comes to scoring, I find myself unsettled, erratic, indecisive, like someone blew up their mean aunt and let her fly all over little whinging. So I don't know how to score it.
How can you?
Balloon analogy was next level.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Yeah.
That's a
Welcome to Thrash and Treasure.
It's scribbled on my notebook. You can't
Yeah.
see it, but it's 5 a.m. I'm falling asleep now. Let's write my review. And that's the outcome.
Hey, Aaron, I feel like you should do stand-up comedy of just reading out these reviews, these heavy metal reviews. They're really funny and quite poetic.
Thank you. I try because look, if I don't like something and I'm in this position where I have to say, look, I don't like this music, when I have so much respect for all musicians, I really do.
Yes.
It is against my nature. It's not against my nature to be critical of things I don't like. It's against my nature to let it be known publicly in a microphone. So I do need to put in an effort to ease the pain for myself and for them.
Oh
And
my goodness.
comedy does that, I guess.
Oh yes,
And
absolutely.
it's very hard. It's not easy. There's so many times where I'll write a joke that I think is hilarious, and I will pause for a response from Gareth, and he'll be like,
Give you
like that.
nothing.
Yeah, I'm a tough crowd.
Oh,
Yeah, so-
I see.
yeah. I mean, I'm a tougher crowd for him. I'm the other way around because he
Yes.
actually does laugh at my jokes.
Yeah, is this thing on? Yeah.
Very, very rarely laugh at his. So when I edit my episodes, I just move his laughter and make myself sound
Oh
funny.
my
Yeah,
goodness.
Yeah, he's a terrible person.
You should get just like stock
Yeah.
laughter of Gareth and just put it wherever you want, wherever you see fit.
I've collected up both of our laughter on 2 tracks, and I
Exactly.
can move them around and
Yeah.
make
I
him
love
sound
it.
like there are times I've laughed at his jokes in an episode that I didn't laugh during the recording, which is not to be mean. And I'm not stone cold. I've said it before, not humorless.
Ah, yes.
You just weren't paying attention.
course.
No, I pay attention. You can hear it that I respond. I sometimes think I'm not paying attention. So you're being mean.
Yeah.
Stop being mean, Gareth. But I do listen and I do respond, but I just don't find it funny.
Anyway,
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
feel the
That's very tense.
tension between you both. Like there's a lot
No,
of tension.
I have so much love and respect for Gareth. It's not funny.
Okay,
it's-
good.
I really do.
there is. It's because we're 2,500 kilometers apart. So that's the.
Yeah.
It is. And
Yes,
he
yes.
puts
Yeah.
up with me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My own family don't. So
No, that's true. Yeah, I don't, but I'm like an hour a week with you, Aaron, and that's fine. That's fine over Zoom.
oh, you get so much more than that.
That album went #1 in Canada and the US. So number six in the.
Yeah, I remember it. I remember the metalheads going crazy.
It wasn't my thing when it came out. It took me a little while to ease into it
Oh.
because it was quite different to traditional metal.
Okay.
It was one of those things I think you kind of got swept up into it, and every party that I went to and all my friends are playing it, and you just kind of got
sick of it.
no, you the opposite, Aaron.
No.
Okay. That it sort of opened your mind, and they are very political, and
Yes.
which is a really good
Are
thing. It can be, yes, yeah, and they, it opens you up to checking out new things and discovering different ways of thinking and that sort of thing. So don't take it as a Bible, but it's it's a good album.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Listen, I have a lot to say about this album because
go
I
for it.
listened to it start to finish, in one sitting or standing rather. I was walking around, but listening to it and brought back a lot of memories, like we said. I really tried to focus on the positive though. Because yes, I love and respect all genres of music. I really do. Though System of a Down now, like this album particularly, I don't think I would listen to on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I did feel like what was really like interesting about listening to it straight through is that the flow between the songs was really nice. The lead singer's voice, I thought, is amazing. Like, he has such a great voice. I like that they're, political and they have things to say, and it's very like interesting lyrically. Like I said before, I think it was really stressing me out. Like, it's just like the high points of the album were really stressful. And thankfully, I will say this, now everybody's going to know this, but I don't have Spotify Premium, so there were ads playing. And I got to say that the ad breaks were like a nice break. Because I was like, my head, I felt like was sort of going to explode at some parts of it.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's very erratic.
Yes, it's very erratic. Yes.
Very
And
erratic.
Chop Suey, of course, like that's one of the main songs that like everybody knows from that album. I also really enjoyed Bounce, which was actually had a lot of humor in it. Like the lyrics are really funny. I also love Aerials. I think that's a great song. I thought that the album actually has a lot of very tender moments. And I understand why, Gareth, maybe when it came out, it wasn't really your bag, because it has a lot of like, it goes really different places, even within just one song. But that's also what I appreciate about it. I think it's not just one thing. It sounds like many things within like the 3 minutes or 4 minutes, and they're always trying to say something. And here's the other thing, like the question that I asked myself this whole time, being a singer, of course, and doing a lot of musical theater, how the heck do heavy metal singers sing heavy metal like that and not lose their voices forevermore? Like, I do not understand. Like, the sound that it's like they're inhaling but screaming at the same time?
Yep.
Like, I could even try it. I don't even know how it's done. How do they do it?
I just gotta say, if you tune in next week, we actually have a metal performer on, so you just might find out about this.
When I was listening to the album, I was curious because there is quite a bit of, listen, I appreciate how guttural it is. Like, it seems like it is a cry to the gods when that happens, truly. But yeah, it definitely got me curious as to know how heavy metal singers remain healthy. And what if you're touring? What if you're doing like a show a night for a week? Or like, how do you even keep healthy? Very interesting questions that arose while I was listening to this album.
It's rock and roll. I don't think they do. I think they just keep going.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
So, I mean, the true professionals would be, clean and straight edge and wouldn't be drinking during shows and stuff like that. But the rest of them, the rock and rollers, they just keep going, I would presume.
Yes.
I mean, I've interviewed lots of musicians and vocalists, and a lot of them, when they first start out, when they're younger, you can do it every night.
Yes.
And you just go. And once they get older, then they have to start only doing 2 or 3 shows a week.
Oh,
or one show a week. And if Mick Jagger, he'll do 1 show a week. Not that he sings like that, but just because of his voice, he'll do one a week. Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden just literally does not talk. He says the worst thing for my voice is talking. So when you hear his voice at 60, I think he is now, and he can still blow so many people off the stage, but he doesn't speak in between. He won't do interviews or anything. So it's kind of it's like anything, I guess. You've got to get that balancing act, and that's
for sure.
That surprises me about Steffi in your profession in musical theater.
Yes,
you guys sometimes 2 shows a day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for years, it's not like, hotel, motel, airplane. You're like, here we are.
Yes.
So sit down productions,
it's a
especially.
Completely different beast. Yeah. It's just like a completely different thing. The sound is different. I think most people in musical theater who are doing 8 shows a week have been like trained in some way and, know how to take care of their voices. And even the best of us, 8 shows a week is like running a marathon. Like it's truly, it's kind of wild. And yes, as you mentioned, sometimes, twice a week, usually in non-pandemic times, we're doing 2 shows a day.
Yeah.
And it is kind of wild when I take a step back. I do all the things though, me and my musical theater friends, you'll steam, you have lozenges, you drink a lot of water, honey, like all the things.
To our listeners at home, there was a part right here where during the conversation, I was utterly triggered by childhood memories of being forced to drink honey and lemon drinks. So I had a little bit of a comical meltdown, which for some reason got cut from the episode. So there is a bit of a jump in quality here. And whilst it was a comical meltdown, I 100% mean every word that I said. That stuff tasted like shit. Anyways, back to the episode. In terms of the political, I didn't get it.
Oh, okay.
I guess it's that running theme
Oh.
of Aaron doesn't pay attention.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
Aaron does. Whether or not it's compelling enough for me to stick around and keep paying attention, that's the other matter. And
But
when
Aaron,
you're
what about that first song? The first song is called Prison Song. There's some facts that he rattles off in there. There's a bit of like spoken word
no, I
happening in
didn't.
there.
Okay.
Even that alone, I thought was, what I mean? Like they start off really strong with that statement there. I don't know. I feel like it was peppered throughout.
Yeah, it's not that I wasn't there. I guess I wasn't actually legitimately paying attention to the lyrics,
Okay.
which
all right.
sometimes happens.
This happens a lot. Yeah.
Sometimes, not a lot. Thank you very much.
I'm starting to think.
In a conversation, I am present, but
I'm actually starting to think from the feedback we're getting from Steffi in the defense of this album that I'm going to be out of a job soon.
Oh God.
out of a job.
I'm going to hand the metal microphone over because
Yeah.
Oh my.
She has come prepared.
I am like, you know what? I try to be as positive as I can, even in the shittiest of situations. Oh, I hope I'm allowed to say shitty on your podcast.
you can say
You
shit.
can swear all
Okay.
you like. It
Like-
doesn't matter what.
Yeah. So you know what? And honestly, System of a Down, this album particularly brought back a lot of memories. So I think it was easy for me to find the good. Like obviously, like I said, don't know if this is something I was listened to on the regular, but
Yeah.
there are a few songs I actually really do like I mentioned, like
Yep.
Ariel's is like very like smooth and like the singing's really nice, the lyrics are really nice. Like there were a lot of songs that kind of had that flavor that I would like put on a playlist and kind of have play in the background.
Yep.
I think so.
I actually think with his voice, he's at his best when he is doing that smooth, clean singing.
I agree.
And when it's more
yes.
gentle, and I just think, because some of the beautiful parts of when he's really let go.
Yes.
That's quite
yeah, totally. And I was sad to see because I was convinced it was on this album, but one of my favorite System of a Down songs from when I was a teenager was Roulette.
Yep.
Do you remember Roulette?
Yep.
Oh my goodness, it's such a
Nope.
beautiful song.
Was that Steal This Album, maybe? Or was that the first album?
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
you're probably right. That is it.
Yeah.
Yes. But that song was so gorgeous. And again, that lead singer really shines when he's actually singing.
Yeah.
Like when he's not doing the screamo thing or whatever. Roulette is like this beautiful love song. Like it's so gorgeous. Like that's a song I've listened to many, many times, even since high school.
Yep.
Because it is like a gorgeous song. Aaron, I highly recommend that you listen to it. It's
I will
actually
check
a
that out.
beautiful song.
Yeah, it is. It's on Steal This Album. So the next release after this one. Steal This Album was actually that was their big slap in the face to
people burning CDs.
Around this time was when Napster and there was piracy and that sort of thing. And the album cover literally looks like someone's wrote on the CD in freehand.
As we all did.
We all did.
Thank you very much. Politics, sorry to change the subject again and Steal This Album is a reference to Abbie Hoffman. He wrote a book named Steal This Book. He was a political activist.
Yep, almost certainly.
And there's a movie on him with Vincent D'Onofrio and Janine Garofalo called Steal This Movie.
Oh, there we go.
Oh.
All right.
And I remember seeing that movie. I quite enjoyed that movie.
I'm gonna look it up on
Yeah, it's all
Okay.
60s and hippies and very hair.
Oh, fun.
But I think that Steal This album was a reference to Abby Hoffman, so I can
possibly
see
be.
the politics there.
There we go.
I
Oh,
see
there
the
you
politics
go.
there, but I didn't hear it in the music, which is funny because. But I'll give it about a 3.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
give it a
Well,
3.
that's
Wait, 3 out of 10 or 3 out of 5?
well, it's 3 out of 5.
3
It's
out
out
of
of
5.
5.
Yay.
Yeah,
That's
good.
If we hadn't have come to that conclusion, if I hadn't have come to that conclusion all on my own, that the politics weren't bashed around my head, then I probably would have
Yes.
gotten less.
Mm.
But probably should chuck to an ad break to hear from our friends from the Fosse Forest Ballet.
Hey.
We're back in a moment.
Coming this summer, winter, spring, or fall, the first ever musical theater sitcom, where you go behind the scenes of the latest West End show, the Fosse Forest Ballet.
Where's the important stuff? Aha! £1,000 a week ensemble rate. Ah, that's what Mamma Mia likes.
Starring Philip Joel and a West End cast featuring Carrie Ellis, Darren Day, Louise Demon, and Oliver Saville, and more.
It all started in 1987 when I was a jobbing actress working in a diner.
Yeah, it's just I had a really bad experience when I was touring Australia with a wombat.
Darling! Mwah, mwah. La, la. How long have I been mentoring you? 3 months?
2 years.
So her name is Henrietta.
The horse. Yes. I've managed to secure you an audition for the biggest, most innovative, and the latest show to be going into the West End. Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat. Think more along the lines of Panther.
Frozen.
You can watch this episode for the price of a coffee. Simply go to www.thefosseforestballet.com. Any and all profits go back to theatre charities, acting for others, and the theatre's trust. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and you'll see a grown man in sparkly tights.
Tight nights. Nice. Tights.
And we're back. Let's hop right in, me duckies. You're listening to Thrash and Treasure, the Torture Chamber musical podcast that sets out to prove that musical theatre is indeed the dominant species. I'm Aaron, and I'm joined by Gareth.
Hello.
Pause for a response. Yeah. Hey, how you doing? Yep. Nothing. As well as the ever delightful Steffi D, the charismatic co-creator and co-compare of the only official COVID companion created to compensate for Canada's cautionary closure of Come From Away. Given your all...
That alliteration was crazy. Wow. Okay. Sorry, carry on.
Alliteration is my bag, baby.
Oh, wow.
I get a kick out of it because it makes me giggle. And as long as it makes me giggle, it is going into my work.
I'm like your perfect audience right now, aren't I?
You
I
are.
think everything you're doing is like blowing my mind.
It really is. It's feeding my ego something
Yep.
chronic. But then at the end of it, I'll get back into work and I'll be sitting there. I'll be like, completely forget that I was actually funny for a minute.
There we go.
Oh, hilarious.
Well, anyways, given your role as Roger's TV reporter, Janice Mosher, in the musical, you're obviously the natural choice to host the online series.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Could you let our listeners know sort of how that came about before we jump into Spring Awakening?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for letting me plug Check-In From Away.
No.
So listen, at the beginning of all of this, on March 14th, 2020, we got a phone call from our stage manager that said, don't come in for the matinee today. It looks like we're going to be closing down the theaters for a bit. We got an email later that day that said, hey, we're going to like a hiatus for about a month, but we'll be back. LOL. Little did we know that it was going to be way longer than that. And we're almost a year in as we record this podcast. But me and Lisa Humber, she's the stage manager of Come From Away. We had become really good friends over the span of doing the show for about 2.5 years. And her and I decided to meet every Monday night since the pandemic started, like the lockdown started. And we were trying to work on a show together. We didn't know what it was going to be, but we wanted to write a play or like try to produce something or try to write something or whatever. And then one day she just mentions, hey, we should pitch to Mervish Productions, which is the producing partner of Come From Away here in Toronto. And she said we should pitch to them like doing an Instagram takeover every week to check in with people who are, sitting at home, especially artists and performers who have lost their jobs because of COVID-19. And then we got a pitch meeting with Mervish Productions. We sat down with them on Zoom and pitched this idea. And by the end of like the hour meeting that we had, they said like, hey, why don't you do like a web series, like an online talk show, and it can be edited together and kind of, really fun and upbeat and, keep it light and sassy. And lo and behold, we finished an entire season of the show. We've done 24 episodes. We've had like over like 80 guests, I think, on the show.
Wow.
And 17 dogs and over 40,000 views on YouTube, total views on the YouTube. And it's kind of crazy. We're about to do season 2 now.
Wow.
We have a great lineup of guests. Our first episode back is going to be Valentine's Day episode about showmances. And honestly, it saved my pandemic. It really kept me creative. It kept me, it was really nice to kind of check in with people and performers, especially that were kind of going through the same existential crisis as I was, sort of, which is not being able to do the one thing that I've been doing my entire life was really challenging. But yeah, it was like a beautiful, comforting experience. And the show is so much fun to make. And you can watch it on the Mervish YouTube channel. And we have 24 episodes for you to watch. You can binge watch all of that. And we always have different topics and performers on. And different shows. We've done like tons of really fun stuff. You should watch it.
Yes. Well, I know I have. Not every single episode, but I've watched a fair bit of it. And I'm
Sweet. Thank
gonna
you.
wager that Gareth hasn't at all. Probably didn't even know it existed until about 2 minutes ago.
Until I saw I saw it tweeted about 2 days ago and went, that's different. I'm going to check that out.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
And I will when I'm on the treadmill.
Yeah,
this
totally.
afternoon, I've got a TV in front of me, and
Oh, there you go. Yes.
I'll walk and watch.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, you pick the topic that you prefer the most, and then go for it. We have a lot of great topics and shows to choose from. You can expand your knowledge of musical theater just watching Checkin' From Away.
Look, maybe I'll just substitute Checkin' From Away for this podcast and expand my musical theater that way. It sounds safer. So
you're already putting in a lot of work to learn about musical theater in this.
Well, speaking of a lot of work, I love how it took you guys all this discussion, doing a pitch meeting with Mervish Productions to come to this idea and all that. I literally messaged Gareth on Facebook and I said, why have we never done a podcast together?
Yeah.
His response was something like, because you've never asked.
You got me in a weak moment.
And I said, okay, let's do a podcast together.
Oh my God.
And within 5 minutes or something, I had come up with this idea, which was the first idea, and it was the one we rolled with. And here we are.
That's fantastic.
That was it.
I think those are the best ideas. The ideas that happen in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Sometimes anyway.
And it's spawned something special.
Fantastic.
So we've got more exciting guests coming up, and we will get some medal guests.
We will.
But speaking of guests, what would be one cast from any production around the world that you would love to have reunite on the show, and from any time, really?
That's a crazy question. So you're saying, like, basically, if I had the choice to have anybody on Checkin' From Away, who would it be?
Yeah.
Like ever?
Yep. Any dream cast from any musical all around the world.
Does it have to be from a musical?
Carte blanche. Yes.
Well, that's me out. Okay.
Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my gosh. Like, what?
It's like Sophie's Choice, isn't it?
No, I was going to say, I was like, that's not a fair question. Like, that is not a fair question.
You are in the torture chamber. Remember that.
My gosh. No, I feel tortured right now because what do I do? Okay, listen. Okay, two things come to mind. When I was a teenager, I was a really, really big fan of Avenue Q.
Yep.
And it would be so wild to actually have like all that whole cast, the original cast,
Yeah, John
just talk to
Tatalia
them.
and Steffi
Yes.
D'Abruzio and
Yes.
Harada.
Wouldn't it be so
Jordan
cool? So that
Gelbar.
would be amazing because I was literally obsessed with that show growing up. So good. And I have pictures with the cast like at the stage door on
Oh, wow.
Broadway. Like
Yeah.
me, like however old I was at the time. That would be really wild and would probably blow my mind.
Hang on, weren't you like 12? Would you have been like
No,
12
I was
then?
older than that, wasn't I? I'm not sure. What year did that musical come out?
2003, 2004?
Right, and I
No, you would
can't
have
do
been
math.
13,
And
14. No, I can't either. That's why I'm like, when you're like 12,
I mean,
which
I'm
is my
31
default.
now,
Yeah,
so
that was
oh my gosh, was I what? Why did my parents let me listen to that?
That's what well, I can't talk because I watched Hair when I was 5.
Oh,
The movie,
well,
not the
see?
musical, the
Yes,
movie.
yes,
I grew
right.
up with Rocky Horror, so I'm
Ah,
no different. But I was just trying to
yes.
work that out. Like, it's a bit different to be going to the Broadway theater and meeting them at the stage door when you're that age. My parents would take me to theater and let's get home as soon as possible.
Oh,
Leave the theater before it finishes so that we're
oh
not stuck in
no.
crowds.
Oh no, so you're
So
not staying for the curtain call.
no, oh, well, sometimes we would, but Mum would
see.
like to rush out as
Yeah,
quickly
no,
as
I
she could.
understand.
Where are they going? Yeah.
I mean, that always makes me
So
really sad.
yeah, no, I know. It's like the end credits of a film.
Yes.
Yeah. gotta
Always
watch
watch the end credits.
Yeah,
Exactly.
totally. I love watching the credits in a movie. It's the best.
Yep.
But honestly, if I could get the touring cast of Spring Awakening in a room together to just like to see how far we've come, because most of us were 19 years old when we were on tour with the show. And we did a lot of growing up on that tour. I like learned the business on that tour, doing 8 shows a week. We were babies. If I could, like, not on Zoom, I mean, like, if I could literally have a party and have everybody from that cast and the musicians and everybody in a room together to just look at each other and go, remember that crazy thing we did for 2 years when we were just babies? I would die for that, because also a lot of the people who I was on tour with went on to do really huge things. Andy
Obviously was in
Mientus, Taylor
Smash.
French,
Blake,
Kimiko Glenn,
Blake Bashoff
Blake
was
Bashoff,
in Lost.
exactly. Yes, like
Yes, I
so
know. As
many.
Carl in Lost, I'm obsessed.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry.
Yeah, honestly,
Lost. I'm like, yes, I'm there.
yes, of course. Like Blake already had an incredible career before he was on tour and on Broadway with the show. But man, it's just like it's really such an impressive cast. Like it was such an impressive cast, and it's like they all caught us like before I feel all the great things happened. Blake Bashoff once said something to me when we were in our second year before he left the tour. He told me, he said, what's kind of sad about leaving Spring Awakening is that it's kind of all downhill from here. And I never forgot that, because I just thought, yeah, in a way, he's sort of right. Like for me, Spring Awakening was like the pinnacle of like my dreams coming true. It was just like the biggest, best thing. Like this is a show that completely changed my life when I saw it and when I was in it. And it's just like, I won't say that nothing great has happened in my career since then. It has. I've had so many amazing opportunities, especially something like Come From Away. But I never forgot him saying that to me, because it was like an artistic, like it was just like I don't even know how to express how much I love that show. And I can't wait to hear what Gareth has to say about it. But honestly, again, like I'm not even saying that because we're talking about Spring Awakening. Like honestly, if I could get that whole cast in a room again to talk and just like be like, hey, how are you? I really would. I would love that.
Well, we'll put them both out there in the universe. So the original cast of Avenue
Thank
Q,
you.
if you're listening to this, which you won't be, but please listen to this. Go on Check In From Away on YouTube and Spring Awakening. I know you kids are all got your careers and all that, but go on Check In From Away. We put that out in the universe for you now.
Thank you.
So I'm positive that Gareth would have found this utterly uplifting and an upbeat musical filled with jazz hands and cans. So before we'll dive further into it, I would like to hear what Gareth thought of Duncan Sheik's not at all controversial, not at all in-your-face musical.
It's controversial. as usual, I knew nothing about this at all.
Yep.
I had, and I think you got me at a bit of a melancholy moment when I started listening to this, because it sucked all the joy out of my life at that time while I was listening to it. I'm never ready for whatever musical that I listen to, because I have no idea what's up next. Because before I started this show, literally everything to me was Disney's Aladdin, which I hate with a passion.
You had seen Book of Mormon and Matilda.
See, I don't count Book of Mormon because that's just hilarious. So maybe it is. Okay, can we count? All right, Book of Mormon is.
Look, it is a tourist musical, but
Yeah.
it's a good tourist musical.
Oh,
Yeah, totally. It's hilarious.
It was
It is.
hilarious.
It's very funny.
So no, all right. So we can count Book
So,
of Mormon.
yes, you're allowed to count that. And Matilda was good.
Oh, Matilda's a great show.
I saw Matilda 3 times, so
3.
Oh.
I did. Okay, so my girlfriend took me when we were in Melbourne over there on holiday and said, "We're going to Matilda." And I'm like, "This is
Oh, nice to come and say hi.
yeah."
Rude.
It was back home in Perth, and I took my youngest daughter
Yeah.
to see Matilda because I'm a great dad. And then
Yes.
Good boy.
and then someone dropped a massive hint, and I ended up taking my mum. So
Ah,
Ah, yes.
So-
that's lovely.
there it is. It gets better. By the third time, I knew all the songs, and it's a
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
It's a great fun story, and Matilda's one of those ones you know the story anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Totally. And also written, like the music written by Tim Minchin, like
Tim Minchin.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Who's
Like
this?
it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so like, I don't know. There's something about Matilda, like that show particularly is like just
Yeah.
very magical. It's a great freaking
is.
show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Tim's in town at the moment, so
Oh,
yeah.
there you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's awesome. What a weird, awesome dude.
He is a weird, awesome dude. Yeah,
Yes.
he's a local guy. So yeah, we love Tim. He actually little sad note on Tim. He came to town. When you fly from a different state in Australia, certainly into Western Australia, you have to quarantine for
Oh yeah.
14 days.
Mhm.
He did 14-day quarantine because he was doing 2 shows at the end of this week, and then we've gone into a snap lockdown. So he's kind of
Right.
thinking he's done 2 weeks quarantine, and he's probably not going to do a show because then it was supposed to be an outdoor
Oh
setting,
no.
5,000 people, this sort of thing. So yeah,
You should do it and stream it live. That's what he
Yeah.
should be doing. Do it
Yeah.
and stream
He'll do
it
it.
live.
he's a pretty creative dude, so I'm sure he'll
He
come
really
up with something.
is.
So
Yeah.
yeah, he's one of those guys that just had an idea and went with it, and good on him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I,
for
I,
sure.
I was kidding, by the way, of when you're in Melbourne not coming to say hi. I
Yeah,
had
no,
a
there
hair appointment that day,
Yeah,
so sorry I
Yeah.
wasn't available.
that
Oh,
was
hilarious.
yes.
Anyways, I am kidding. I don't even think we knew each other
Anyway.
then.
I know. I saw Book of Mormon in Melbourne as well, I think. So
Oh,
yeah.
did you?
Oh.
Yeah, I took my conservative mum on Easter Sunday. To
Oh
Book of Mormon.
dear goodness.
wow.
Oh yeah,
that's
I have a
blasphemy.
sense of humor.
Yes,
Mm.
I hope she does too.
Oh yeah, she cried.
That would have been challenging. Yeah.
Oh
My-
yes, yes.
My face hurt from laughing at Book of Mormon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was-
Oh,
yeah.
hers did too. She cried with laughter.
Yeah.
I don't think she has laughed that much in her life. But this is about Spring Awakening.
Yes, right. So Spring
to
Awakening.
Gareth.
If only
Yes.
Spring Awakening was as funny as Book of Mormon or as magical as Matilda,
It's
But it
magical
was
in
not.
its own way, I guess.
Okay, okay.
No, it's dark.
how does it kick off? Mama Who Bored Me.
Yes.
Duncan Sheik,
Don't
Duncan
make
Sheik,
it go-
and Steven Sater bored me. There we go. That's what bored
yeah,
me.
that's
I knew you were going
cliche.
there,
Yeah.
Gareth.
Yeah, I was always
Yeah.
going to go there. As soon as I heard that, look. And then they reprised it. What is the thing about musical theatre where they write one song and then it's like, we don't have enough songs, so we're just going to do this. We're going to remix it. And we're going to remix it and then
Yep.
play it again straight away. And I'm like, dude.
Well, it sounds very
stop it.
Linkin Park to me.
If it was a bit more Linkin Park, I probably would have enjoyed
No,
it.
it's in releasing the same thing and remixing it and reprising it. Linkin Park, thank you
Linkin
very
Park.
much.
Yeah.
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 Um,
Okay.
I got excited when I looked through the cast. Brian Johnson. I'm thinking, Brian Johnson, lead singer of AC/DC.
Oh wow.
False advertising. This is false advertising because
that's bad. I'm so sorry. That was not the case.
Oh no, I'm not sorry. That's hilarious.
Yes.
I'm
yes.
getting there. And the first song that came up that was on is called "The Bitch of Living," and I thought that's an AC/DC track right there.
Yes.
There
oh,
it is.
see? Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
then it wasn't. And then it wasn't.
Yeah, no, it was not.
So I went from I'm on a roller coaster and it's
Yeah.
and it's tearing at me. This is going to sound really bad.
Oh,
Okay.
really? Fancy that.
There's elements of this musical that
Yes.
just sounds like a bad Blink-182 album.
What?
It's got that angsty
That's-
pop punk kind of sensibility and a
Oh.
whiny
Yes.
teens.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
oh
Yeah,
my,
and-
why doesn't anybody understand me? And
Right.
Yeah.
excuse my terrible
Yes.
accent, because that kind of style of music really kind of grates me, and it always has done. When you're kind of being the emo sort of, yeah, we were all anxious teenagers. Get over it. I don't want to talk about it in your 20s.
They're not in their 20s, though.
No, that's the thing I
See,
was
I'm-
going to say.
All right, now tell me why I'm wrong.
They're not in,
Okay.
they're not in their they're kids. They're
They're
teenagers.
kids. Yeah. So what's listen, I'm glad that you kind of got the gist of like being angsty teenagers, because
Yeah.
that is what the show is about. And I will
Yeah.
say I've never felt more like a rock star than when I was doing Spring, because the following for that show was like so crazy. And honestly,
Yeah.
people were obsessed with that show. I was one of the people who was obsessed with it too. I listened to it like literally day in, day out. Like it just like changed my world. But you know, the thing about this that I'm surprised you didn't like is that Spring Awakening is like the non-musical musical
Yeah.
that people who don't like musicals like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is one of them, isn't it?
Yeah, and
but
same
there's
with
a
sort of
handful
Come
of
From
them.
Away, I guess, sort of, because it's, you know, it's so much about the story, and you know, the music is beautiful, but it's so much about the story that people love it.
Yeah,
Like even
it's
people
able to
who
cross
don't
over,
like
yeah.
musicals love Come From Away.
Yeah.
It's the same
Yeah.
thing with Spring Awakening. It's pop and electro and like kind of rocky and like smooth and folky, and it
And
has like
deep
different
and
kind of,
dark.
yeah, it's dark, it's deep. People used to walk out of the show, like every single show we did on tour in so many different states. We went to like 45 different cities on tour. And listen, people were walking out by like the fourth song sometimes, because it was such a racy musical at the time. Like, it's just like, it was, honestly, it deals with, you know, like teenagers, you know, Spring Awakening, like it's about like a teenage sexuality and like going through puberty, not understand what's happening to you, and kind of like the angst of that, and the not getting the information. And there was suicide and like abortion and
Oh, is that?
pregnancy, and you know, like it tackled all of these really intense, like if that is not rock and roll, Gareth, I do not
I know. I'm
what
clearly
musical is rock and roll enough for you.
I
Like
mean,
this
What
is it.
musical was he listening to? That's what I would like to know.
Huh?
Do you know what? Do you know what?
Yeah.
I think it didn't drag me in, and I think it might be. I'm going to play the age card here. It might be because I've forgotten what it's like to be that age. No, I do. I remember it. It's seared into my
Oh,
brain, and I
yes,
don't
yes.
ever want to go back there.
Yeah, right. Who does?
And when you drag me back there, I'm going to push back. So
Aha.
I
There
think
you
this is
go.
more. This is clearly more about me than it is the music.
Yeah, this is your problem.
Look, I'm going to say some of the performances in this, as they are with so many musicals that I've listened to, are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's so much talent. I think it Leah Michelle.
Yes,
I'm gonna
that's
get her name.
right. Yeah.
It's,
She's
obviously,
amazing. She is amazing.
yeah. Look, she has. I'm going to just be bold and say this right now, because obviously she's a pariah in society's eyes at the moment because of what's
Yes, she
come
is.
out.
Oh, okay. I missed that.
That does not discredit the amazing voice that has come out of her.
Yes.
That we have listened to.
But listen,
So
John Gallagher.
if anyone wants to
Jr.
complain, too bad.
John
he
Gallagher
was,
Jr., Jonathan Groff, like, come on.
Yeah, obviously, John Gallagher Jr. was in 10 Cloverfield Lane, and Jonathan Groff was the voice of the reindeer in Frozen.
Yes.
Okay. Two things I haven't seen, but anyway.
But also,
No.
Jonathan Groff went on to be in the original company of Hamilton as well. He did
Yes.
Mindhunter on Netflix.
Mindhunter, yep.
He's like huge.
Oh, I love that
Yeah,
show.
he's the
maybe
lead
you
in
know
that
him.
show. He's amazing. Yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah,
him.
that's
Okay.
him. And
Wow.
Jonathan Gallagher
He's
Jr., of
really-
course, has a huge like career. He was doing that. What's that morning show again? That show that was about the reporters in the newsroom. The newsroom. There you go. In the newsroom. And he's done so much stuff. And of course, 10 Cloverfield Lane. But Oh,
Yeah,
listen, there's two
that.
movies that I highly recommend for you both to watch if you haven't. That he's in and they're amazing.
Yes.
Have you seen Hush on Netflix? I think it's on Netflix.
Yes, the blind woman at home alone.
She's deaf,
That's
actually,
great.
I
Oh,
think.
sorry, sorry.
Yep.
Yes, no, she's deaf.
She's deaf.
My
She's
bad.
deaf, and he
Oh my
plays
God,
like
now I'm
the
offending
intruder. I know you're like,
more.
oh my God, I'm offending everybody right now. But
Shit.
he plays the intruder in it, and he's so scary and
Yes,
so
that's
great.
right.
And
Yeah,
the movie that I was talking about before,
the
the
Belko
building,
experiment.
the Belko
Hmm.
experiment.
Yes.
The Belko experiment. There
Yeah,
it
I knew
is.
it all along. I just
Fantastic.
thought I'd string
Yeah.
you guys along and
Yep.
see how long it took you guys to
Yeah.
guess it.
Thanks a lot.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
I don't think I've seen it, but I know the story.
And
yeah.
he has done Law and Order, of course. Every
Of course,
Broadway
everybody-
performer,
Yeah.
you
Every
have to
Broadway
look at-
performer has
yep.
been on Order.
Law and Order. Which
can I ask you, Gareth? Like, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Did you have a favorite track? Like, if you had to pick a track that caught your ear that you thought was really great, which one was it?
Yep. Totally fucked. Yep.
Oh, of course.
That's my
Hey,
middle
rock and
name.
roll.
It was, it was, and I'll tell you why, because it was on in the background and I'm just like going, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then that song came on. I thought, okay, this is hilarious in an angry kind of way. So yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's not all bad. And it's unfair that I have to sit here and put my opinions in front of people who have actually been involved in these wonderful things. And
Steffi
just tell them
didn't
how much
write
I
it,
think it's
so-
I did know. That's true. I did not.
No, I know.
There's no personal attack here.
I'm dreading the day we get, Stephen Sondheim on here.
I am working on it. Okay, not Sondheim, but someone like Duncan Sheik. That'd be friggin' awesome.
Oh my goodness gracious. I gotta say the other thing that I wanna boast about Spring Awakening is that for me, it's one of those musicals, two things. Lyrically, I think it's one of the most interesting musicals in the last 20 years because the thing about the show was that the music didn't forward the plot ever. Like it was always a moment in time to express emotion, but it never actually moved the plot, which I actually thought was cool because they're kind of almost like standalone pop songs that kind of just can live in a world without any context. And I think that's so smart in terms of writing this show. And of course, the show is based on a play that was written by a German playwright in the 1800s about German kids figuring out their sexuality. And it's
Wow.
it's so cool that the play is it's an old timey play that's been readapted, but still in that world. And then the music is super contemporary. And you have that dichotomy of kind of the rock and roll, contempt sound. And we would pull out microphones from our costumes, our old timey costumes. And then you're completely at a rock concert, in a different world. And then you'd go back to the strict German world after that of the play. And I just think honestly, I wish you had seen this show, Gareth, because I actually think that if you had seen the show, you would have really appreciated it. For sure.
It is something that I've brought up a few times, which is I don't think soundtracks do a lot of these musicals justice. And when I'm just listening to the soundtrack,
some do, some come from away. Look at that.
Yeah,
that
there's
album
a lot of There's a lot of dialogue in Come From Away, though, so you can figure out the story sort of as you're going. You're listening to the soundtrack. Again, like I said, Spring Awakening is completely different. You have no sense really of what's happening in the plot with the music, which is actually I love that. But
Yeah, I think that's, and completely uneducated theater head. I quite often I go looking for the story and I want to find the story. And sort of halfway through this one, I'm thinking, this could just be a mixtape of the best pop punk hits of, and I actually got accused of listening to a musical on shuffle because I didn't get it at all. And I thought, you could do this one on shuffle, and it really
yeah, you know what, you could. You're totally right.
Could,
if you bookended it with Mama Who Bore Me in the last song about summer, you could kind of, and I guess that's what I'm sort of looking. I'm going into it going, this is a musical, tell me the story. But they really are standalone. They are standalone songs. And maybe I've missed it completely. But having said that, it is a style of music that kind of doesn't connect with me.
Sure.
It needs more rock in the roll, I think.
Yeah.
That's for me. So Yeah.
I do have to admit, I actually haven't seen it myself. So I have no idea what the
Okay.
story is.
Okay.
And I've never wanted to know because I do want to see it properly.
Yes.
Oh, right.
And so I've always been glad that the story wasn't clear in the music because when I was doing my research for this episode and I read that there was someone falls pregnant in the show, I was so disappointed because I don't want to know.
Oh no! And I just ruined it for you too. I was like,
that's fine.
oh,
I already knew by then.
Oh, okay, good.
Spoiler
okay.
alert.
You know, and
Gotcha,
I
gotcha.
was like, what am I going to do if spoiler alert comes up? Do I sit there and put my fingers in my ear like a rude person in front of everyone? Or like, no, I don't want to hear this and talk over everyone. I don't know. I'll have to put up with it. So we've been lucky so far.
I really, I so wish, listen, it's such a beautiful show and I cannot say it enough. It really, it changed my life. Like it is a show that really changed my world. Like it is so beautiful. And I got to give a shout out to, I don't know what your favorite songs are, Aaron, from the soundtrack, but got to give a shout out to like Touch Me has always been one of my absolute favorite songs, as well as Mirror Blue Night, as well as like the Guilty ones. Like I have so many favorites. Like I just think also, Gareth, I don't know if maybe you might like this little tidbit of information, but Duncan Sheik is no other than the Duncan Sheik who wrote Barely Breathing in the 80s. Remember that song?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's like a kind of a fun, exactly, like mind blown type thing. But yeah, like just like him and Steven Sater, I just find they made like such an unlikely duo, but at the same time, it's what came out of it is like so poetic. Like the lyrics are so. It's just like I really like. I can't speak enough good about this album, and one day I hope you can see it. Yeah, why are you laughing, Gareth?
Why are you laughing, Gareth?
No, why are you laughing? Here's what I want to ask you a question, Steffi, because I've only heard the soundtrack, which is just purely the songs. Is there a lot of dialogue kind of tying it in together in the stage
Yes,
production?
absolutely. There's like definitely there's like a beginning, middle, and an end. There's quite a big story as well. It's mostly about these three teenagers. You know, you follow kind of their story through their awakening. And it's just like they all three of them take three very different paths and approaches to kind of it kind of discusses a lot of like when information is not available, tragedy happens. It's like a lot about that. And like I said, like people used to walk out because I don't want to give any spoilers, but some of the songs were like just very graphic. There was a lot of like, there was nudity. There was like sex depicted on stage, and it was like it's rock and roll. It's rock and roll. It's pretty intense.
And there are some uppity people out there.
I should have gone to YouTube, and this is a whole different thing because they're much different productions, but there's a lot of bands are doing live streams and they're putting streams up, and you can you subscribe and whatever. And they're a strip back stage show, and you've got and if it's a standard band with bass guitar, drums, and lead singer, and they can do that in an empty hall. But it'd be great if musical theatre could do that. But there's such depending on the musical theatre. I mean, you've got the cast, you've also got the crew, and if you've got like prop changes and backgrounds, I mean, it'd be really. I could see it being difficult depending on what kind of restrictions you've got around the world, but that'd be such a good thing to see if you could do, some of these things and do a couple of shows and stream them.
Well, Hamilton, I think, is an incredible example of how well theater can be shot, because I find that a lot of the times when theater's shot, it doesn't do the show justice whatsoever. Like it's just not the same. But, I do find that a lot of musicals have done it well. I know that Passing Strange, I don't know, Aaron, if you know Passing Strange, but my goodness, I love that show. Yes. Such a great,
win the Tony
so
for Best Musical?
Yes.
Okay.
Did it? Yes, it did, I think. But they, Spike Lee directed that
that film
they
version,
shot it on camera, and it's amazing. Like it's like being there. And I think Hamilton also does it really well, but I find that other shows haven't necessarily succeeded in like shooting just something on stage. But I think it's because it's so much about like the live like rapport between the audience, like especially a show like say Come From Away, it's like you really vibe off of the energy that's happening in the room. Like it's just theater is such a live, it needs to be live, but though I do think that a lot of shows have succeeded to make it kind of worth it to sit down and watch like 2.5 hours of a theater show.
They have, and they really should film the Melbourne production of Come From Away and do it now while they're running, please.
They should do
for the rest of the world, so we can just have it back in our lives. I'm not going to be paying $150 every time I want to see it, so please film it professionally for me. David and Irene, you're the most beautiful, talented couple out in the world, and I love you so much, and I adore you. Please do it for me.
It should be,
I won't
do
be
it for me
mean
too, David
anymore.
and Irene.
And do it for one of your cast members. The Melbourne cast, they're running at the moment. Just film it. Just go in during the day when no audience is there. You guys can do it. So I'm begging now.
Do it with the audience there. So
totally.
You want to do it.
It's one of those things. If there's someone somewhere in the world that's still got theaters open, like Australia,
should be
some parts of Australia, then let's film it. I mean, how lucky was Hamilton? And I haven't seen it yet. That they'd filmed all that, and then it went on Disney, and and they've just had
the original.
So
cast
apart
too.
from the original cast, so that was a beautiful fluke. I guess they didn't know that what was coming up. So
it was, They're supposed to be doing Aladdin. Aladdin was filmed in West End, apparently, with the Australian guy that you fell asleep watching. Gareth is so
I could watch the bits that I fell asleep through.
So you possibly maybe get to see what you missed. And I don't think Disney will be filming Spring Awakening, no.
I don't think so, no.
No.
It's a little bit too racy for Disney.
Yeah. I presume they've got the junior version.
Oh, gosh.
Why?
I feel like I doubt it because there's so much swearing in the show.
Well, that's why they do the junior ones, to cut out all the hard songs, cut out all the tough plot points.
Oh, and then you don't have a show.
Tell me about it.
I was going to say, it sounds like it just removed everything from the show. Yeah.
Literally one act.
Yeah, it would be, I think, like 2 songs, and then that'd be it. It'd be like a concert of 2 songs. It does delve into some pretty heavy subject matter. So I feel like, I do feel like it's an important show for kids to watch. And kids, I mean, maybe teenagers, but again, it's like about just getting information and speaking to your kids and making sure that, that it's just unnecessary tragedy so much of the time. And that shows like a cautionary tale, sort of.
Yeah.
But oh man, I wish you had seen the show. It's such a great
me too, because I do love the music in it, and for that reason that it is standalone, and like we're going to talk about Little Shop of Horrors in the next episode. Those songs you could take on their own and listen to them, and they're standalone, but they still do tell the story that's in there.
Totally,
so you get the story from the CD in context.
Yes, you do.
Whereas
Gareth, you're gonna love Little Shop of Horrors.
No, he already hates it, and that's why I kicked him out of the studio for that episode.
Yeah, I'm not in. I'm skipping that episode because I'm on holidays or something.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny!
I don't have to deal with Little Shop of Horrors.
Plus,
which goes back to scarring me in my childhood when it first came out in the movies. So there's a whole. I've got a for someone who's done so much therapy, I've got so much emotional baggage that gets brought up listening to musical theater.
Oh, listen, we all do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why. That's why you love heavy metal, because it's kind of like a.
That's why it is.
I don't know. I feel like it's like a
cathartic,
it's an outpouring of cathartic energy and tension, and like, you know what I mean. I totally get it. For me, musical theater does that. You know.
Yeah. Same here.
Really
I mean, jazz hands and tap dancing. Like that's gonna get my energy, or not my energy, my angst out.
Yeah,
and obviously,
I still get.
Sorry, go.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I get a double dose because I've got a daughter doing musical theater. So
yeah, I am turning him into the world's best father. That's what I'm doing.
There you go.
She
basically,
did. She was supposed to have a fringe show Fringe Festival show coming up this weekend, but with the lockdown,
I'm
we're
so
not.
sorry to hear that.
We're not
That's
sure if it's
so
going
really.
ahead, so she's been working really hard. She literally hates it when I come to her.
Oh, no,
performances,
Oh,
why?
really?
So, but that's but she didn't know I was coming to the Fringe show because I was just going to sneak into the audience because it's a really big
Of
deal.
course, that's a huge.
Yeah.
That's
So-
amazing. Wow, that's so
Yeah,
lovely.
Yeah. So we got fingers crossed that we come out of lockdown, and I'll sneak in the back and just sit there and be proud dad. And,
Yeah.
Now, Gareth, I know you need to leave in a moment. So just quickly, Steffi, could you tell our listeners a little bit about Janice and sort of her role in Come From Away? And basically she's the one that sort of keeps the time and drops the all-important date.
Drop the date?
Well, drops the date, like
drops
mentions
the
it.
dates.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Listen, most of it I was like, what? Yeah, like the date, the like the fruit, the date. Yes, Janice Mosier in Come From Away is the reporter. She's a rookie Rogers TV reporter. I do all of the dates and the times. I'm kind of like the timekeeper in the show.
You're the framing device. Of
That's
this show.
exactly it. I
Janice is.
narrate a lot of what's going on, sort of. So, yeah, I feel like Janice is a really big part. She's a really big part of this thing.
I'm going to sign off. Thanks, Steffi. It's been an absolute blast.
Yes, Gareth, thank you so much. And I had a really great time listening to the album again. So thank you for bringing it back into my life.
Yes, thank you, Gareth.
Yeah,
Excellent
thanks,
work,
Gareth.
mate.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
day. Since it's day for you, I'm going to bed after this. So have a great day in the future.
And happy
All right.
birthday for 4 days away if I don't.
Happy birthday for 4 days away.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, that's fantastic. Enjoy.
50. Sorry I wasn't invited.
Oh God.
It's pretty sure the party's been cancelled. I've got 80 people that aren't coming. So
I know. I'm kidding. Plus, your 5-hour flight away now was not going to your birthday party. Even
Oh
if you
yeah, it's
invited
too
me.
far.
no.
Way
Get
too
it.
far. Anyways, okay,
Yeah.
go. You got
It is
less
something
Okay.
else. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
We'll be back in a moment after a word from our friends and sponsors. G'day listeners, Aaron here. While me and Gareth are taking a break, I thought now would be a great time to spill my guts. Well, not my guts, the fully fabulous Kristen Johnston's, whose hilarious yet harrowing memoir, Guts, details her rollercoaster ride through all the excesses of Hollywood and the toll it can take on even the fiercest of bitches. Keijo has shed all pretense by opening up her heart and soul in this gripping tale, which will leave readers reaffirmed of their own inner strength and ability to kick some ass in this world. You may know her as Sally Solomon or as Joan Collins' bedrockian daughter, but once you've dived into Kristen's guts, you'll come to know that she's nothing short of a warrior. Available now where all good books are sold, grab your copy of Guts today. He didn't leave us a score, which is the second...
That's true.
Yeah,
You're
second
gonna
time
have
he's
to
done that.
ask him.
Yes.
I mean, can I guess
I-
what his score is gonna be?
Very low. I guess you can though.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna say like 2.5 out of 5.
Yeah. We'll give it a 2.5 for him, and if he ups it up, then awesome.
Yeah, like I'm gonna say 2.5. Like he seemed like he was really like kind of uninterested in the whole thing. But when I
Yeah.
convinced him that, I was like, these are standalone songs and like that's kind of interesting, I felt like he was softening up a little bit.
He was.
Yeah.
He's defensive because I keep giving him musicals that are important.
Yes.
That have good music and are important,
Yes.
like about
Mhm.
AIDS or 9/11 or
Yes.
about brain tumors and stuff. And so I keep hitting him with these bombs, and he wants to hate them and he wants to knock them off.
Exactly.
But he knows that if he hates a show like The Prom, that I could accuse him of hating gay people, and it could be a whole, I wouldn't mean it, obviously, but
Yes.
he's afraid to look bad. And you clearly like to talk as much as I like to talk.
Oh gosh, yeah, I know.
So the two of us
unfortunately.
together, poor Gareth, which
I
is
know.
great for me and Schadenfreude because
Yeah.
though I'll probably be editing the episode, so I don't know why he's worried.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes. I should have warned you. I love to talk. I think it's like if I have a
No,
superpower, it's that honestly, yes, I can talk for a really long time about
me
a lot of
too.
things.
Me too. Like
Yeah.
our whole show is pretty much blah 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 and tell all these boring stories. And he might get frustrated, but that's what I when I listen to it, that dynamic of me driving him crazy
Yes.
makes me laugh so much because
Because it's so funny. I know.
yeah,
It's
it
just
is.
an unlikely pair. You
It,
two are
it
just an
really
unlikely
is.
pair.
He,
Yes,
yeah,
that's right. It's a lot of fun because I love putting two things together that kind of don't go together and then they work. And that brings me to segue about Spring
yes.
Awakening.
Well, I would have said that was a good segue to come from away because
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That
yeah, both
too.
of them like
Yes, you're totally right. You think that it's not going to work together, but it does
no.
beautifully. And you get like this gorgeous, amazing thing that you weren't expecting you were going to get.
I've never had a reaction like that listening to an album
Yes, yeah.
that
It
I had
it
with that.
it it chokes you up.
It
Like
does.
even before when I saw the show, and listen, this is crazy. Like this is going way back when. I forget what year it was. I saw one of the first workshops they did
Oh
of that
wow.
show. It was a two actor. It wasn't just one act.
Oh
And
wow.
it was with a bunch of students from Sheridan College. David and Irene had just like written this thing. And I remember seeing it and I remember how flabbergasted I was at how incredible this story was. And I never forgot it. And then when it came back around and I saw it in Toronto before it went to Broadway, it just, honestly, the show amazes me how it is almost, it's like the perfect show. It's like the
It is.
perfect, like it
Package.
has the amount of laughs and heart and great music and like just amazing storylines and people and it's heartwarming. It has everything.
Yeah.
Like literally it can make you laugh 1 minute and it moves very quickly and then it can make you cry. It's empowering. It's just like it's a perfect show. Like
It is.
it's really just it's a perfect show.
It
Yeah.
is, and
Yeah.
it's funny because it's not that old. And my friends
No, not
commented
at
to me the
all.
other day and said, "Oh, that's the show you're obsessed with at the moment." I'm
It's
like,
like, no.
"Bitch,
Yeah.
please!" Like that show, I have never had a reaction like that before. That
Yeah,
is not
totally.
a phase in the moment. This show will last in people's
Yes.
consciousness because it is
Yes.
so well done. The music
So
is
well done.
fantastic, and
Yeah.
as I say, those two, Irene and David, with their good
Yes.
looks and their good
Oh,
talents, and who the hell do
yes.
they think they are?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious me!
Yes, I know. Can you believe writing a show like this as beautiful and perfect as it is? And also shout out to Christopher Ashley as well, who directed the
Yes,
show. It is immaculate. Like truly immaculate. And Kelly Devine, who did the choreography
yep.
and all the movement in the show and the
Correction.
transitions.
The chairography.
The choreography, that's
That
correct. Yeah. Like who knew that 12 actors telling a story about Gander, Newfoundland of all places, and 9/11, like all these aspects come together and they do. Like it works
yeah.
and it goes beyond even working. I don't think I've ever gone to a show that I walked away feeling like I needed to be a better person.
Yep.
And Come From Way does that to me. You know what I mean? Even being in the show, I just go, oh my gosh, like how do I honor the people that I'm portraying on stage every single night in my real life?
Yep. I can imagine.
It's like truly, it's just, oh, I can't say enough about the show. Truly, and also I'm going to say this because I know that I am, I'm gushing about Come From Way, and I'm also gushing about Spring Awakening. I gotta say, I've been very lucky in my career so far to do shows that I just inspire me, and just challenge me and like that I adore. Like I've been so lucky and I really yeah, I need to acknowledge that for a moment because Spring Awakening, Come From Way are not shows that come around often. And I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
Very grateful.
Well,
Yeah.
you say luck, and I was listening to a podcast yesterday with Stephanie J. Block, and she was saying
Yes.
it's not necessarily luck, it is preparedness meets
Mhm.
opportunity.
Sure.
And
That's
that's what you have
fair.
because
Yeah.
you came through the idol machine, which
Yes.
around the world a lot of people did. I mean,
Yes,
obviously it's
for
still not,
sure. Yeah.
thousands and thousands and thousands, but there is still
Mhm.
enough people that even if they all have a default amount of luck when you go through that show, that is even amongst most of them that aren't the winner and the
Sure.
runner up.
Yes, sure, yeah.
Right, so everyone else is
Yeah.
pretty much on a level playing field. It was your preparedness, it was your hard work,
Thank you. That's
as
so
well
nice.
as luck. That got
I
you
want to
to
give
this.
myself that credit, but sometimes it's hard because I really do feel like sometimes you're right place, right time. Yes, preparedness. Yes, like just being ready and the opportunity happens. But yeah, man, have I also just been lucky to be in the right place and being prepared when the opportunity
Yes.
came.
Yes.
So I still feel like very lucky. Listen, I can't even believe that he gave it a 5 out of 5.
Oh, I can, because it's a great musical.
But he's like a heavy metal guy. Like I'm
Yeah.
I'm impressed
Yeah.
that I'm impressed. I'm very, of course, like honestly, if anybody hates, I question anyone who
Yeah.
doesn't like Come From
How
Away.
can
Like
how can
you must
hate
be
it?
a heartless, just soulless person to
Oh,
not
I
like
am.
a show like that.
Don't get me wrong, I am a heartless and soulless, but I still do love Come From Away because it's just it's
Yes.
catchy, it's crisp, it's
Oh,
the
so great.
performances are fantastic and all that. And obviously you're Canadian, so I'm guessing there wasn't too much to get into that accent with the Gander. With the Hupredi me,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna offend.
You're not going to attempt. I understand.
I'm not gonna
You
offend
know what?
the
I mean, growing up in Canada,
Newfoundlanders.
obviously,
Yep.
it's helpful that I've known a bunch of Newfoundlanders. I've been accustomed to hearing it a lot. So when it actually came to auditioning for the show as well as being in the show, we did have a dialect coach who helped us out. But I had heard it a lot. Also, fun little fact. I sort of like low key dated a Newfoundlander for a very brief period of time, and his accent was like the best thing ever. And I think I have just a very personal experience with the Newfoundlanders. So there you go.
Well, because it's funny. Obviously, there's stories people from all over the world.
Yes.
Seeing it in Australia, the guy, in the on the Broadway set, it would be Gino Carr,
Oh, yeah.
who
Yeah.
sings
Gina
out,
Carr, yeah.
"We were on the plane, we didn't have a clue."
Yes.
That line in our show, the character is Australian.
Oh, yes.
So,
Right. Isn't that played by the
Simon
one, the only
Maiden.
Oh, you know who I'm thinking about right now? You know Doug Hansel?
Oh yes. Oh, he is quite handsome, isn't he? Oh, you said Hansel. Okay, yeah, sorry.
Okay, no, seriously though,
Freudian slip.
this is so funny that I'm bringing this up because we had Doug Hansel on Check In From Away.
Yep.
Because we did a Come From Away international episode. So we had people from all over the world who do Come From Away on the show, like Broadway, UK, Australia, Toronto, et cetera, the tour. And we had Doug Hansel. And listen, he knows this because we bring it up in one of our episodes later of our favorite moments of season 1.
Mhm.
And Lisa and I, when Doug Hansel got on the call with us, like honestly, I blushed. Like I blushed. Lisa blushed. Both of us like were having a really hard time like keeping a straight face when we were talking to him. And when he got off the call, her and I were just like, oh my God, is he not just the most handsome? Just his blue eyes and his smile. Like, honestly, he's so gorgeous. And since then, we have thoroughly embarrassed ourselves. Like, he knows, like, Doug knows, like, Doug, if you're listening to this, he knows.
Oh, this is going in the episode. This definitely going in the episode. Our show is a torture podcast, so
oh
yes.
my gosh. But yeah,
Going
it
out
was
there.
just listen, me and Lisa talked about it just for days and weeks after how beautiful he is. And he's very aware. We made him aware of the episode where we say like, oh man, like one of our crushes on the show has been Doug Hansel. What a babe. Just what a babe. And he's such a nice guy too. So he has the whole package. Like, hey, Doug, how's it going? I'm so sorry I'm doing this to you. Like, he's going to be like, man, these girls from Canada, they're freaking crazy.
Well, lucky for you, he's here in the room with me now.
Oh my God, I wish.
I'm kidding. It's
yeah, they're just hilarious. But
that
anyway,
would be pretty funny.
Thank you, Doug Hansel.
In my daydreams.
Yes, you can make it work.
I will live in that fantasy there.
Great. Why not? Yes.
Yeah, look, I won't keep you much longer because obviously it's late at night there.
I love
and
how many tangents we've gone
I
on, though.
know,
I think it's so funny. We ended up talking about Doug Hansel, which is hilarious to
I
me.
know, right? Well,
Just like really, yeah. I'm glad we went and did the segue, though. I gotta say thank you because I love embarrassing myself on these things, and here we are.
look, every single week I am making a fool of myself on
No,
this
you're doing great.
podcast.
Because we
I-
can do things like this. Like, my gosh, you guys are in Australia, and we can
Yep.
do this because of the internet, which is amazing.
Speaking of which, hang on, I've got to. Sorry, when you said Australia, reminded me of something. Back in May, I think it was, or April 2004, I went along to the Australian Idol auditions.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, you did not. That's
I
amazing.
did, right? We were the last in line
Yes.
at the cattle
Wow.
call, and I was in my full mohawk, leather jacket,
Oh,
tartan
nice.
tartan pants underneath ripped jeans, so the
Oh, yeah.
double hair going
Oh, yeah.
on, and
Oh, yeah.
all that, right? Full on piercings and chains. Anyways, we were in the back of the line, and they started handing out the forms, and they ran out, but before they got to us.
Oh, no.
Right. So not before, right as they got to us, and only one of our group got a form. So we buggered off down to the news agency, did some photocopying, and then went back there, waited in line for the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours.
Yeah.
Got up to the desk, right? I handed over
Yep.
my form, and my mate turns to the people at the desk and goes, "Oh, we had to photocopy it because they ran out." And they looked up at the blue stamp that was grey, and we got kicked out, or they asked us to leave. We're like, no, come on, we've been in your line. All right, but because we're punks with mohawks and chains, and we're saying, no, please let us in,
no.
they thought we were being trouble, so they called security on us.
You're kidding me. That's a crazy story. So
Only
you never auditioned for it?
No, only one of us got to audition.
That is so frustrating.
I wouldn't have
That's so
gotten in.
frustrating.
I wouldn't have gotten in. If anything, I would have been shown on TV as a terrible audition.
Oh, I love it though. That would have been awesome.
But like I noticed, so in the crowd there was a lot of people I knew from theatre.
Yes,
Or just from
of course.
just from around the music theatre industry.
Yeah,
But
that makes sense.
none of them ever got in, and it was always
Yeah.
people that didn't have a background in theatre, which was a shame. I know it was a pop show, but for being team theatre, I'd always want,
Yes.
and I see now that obviously yourself, you've gone on from Canadian Idol to doing professional theatre, and obviously we're doing community theatre before that. I've noticed though that there is a trend of those contestants who maybe hadn't done theatre before but are now getting the lead roles in theatre.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And I see that people are in two minds about it. Or theatre people are like, no, we don't want those idol people in our shows. But are they not singers themselves? Like, weren't they
Yeah.
not singers before Idol? Just because they didn't do theatre doesn't mean they weren't performing or
Yeah,
whatnot.
sure.
So
I mean, I'll tell you what happened to me on Canadian Idol is that I was never a pop singer before I went on Idol. I was always a musical theater girl, and I had never sung a pop song in my life when I went on the show. It's just very different. It was a big learning curve for me, but for some reason, like I kept getting put through rounds, and before I knew it, I like made it to the top 5, which was super crazy. But I was a theater gal who ended up on Canadian Idol, and then when I actually wanted to do theater after that, I think people were very skeptical. It happened here too. They were like, well, she's a pop singer who's trying to like be in musicals and act. Like, I don't think so. And I was like, no, I was a musical theater person before. It's just I got this opportunity that opened my eyes to other opportunities as well. Like I didn't even I don't know. It's just like I never really considered pop music to sing or to whatever. I was always so just like hard and fast musical theater nerd.
Yeah.
But yeah, it opened like new doors for me, but it also was tricky to get into some doors because I think some people were on the fence about me being on the show. which I
Yeah.
understand. It also brought me a lot of amazing opportunities as well. So it's kind of like there were two very different paths there. Obviously I would never pick a path where I did not do Canadian Idol. Like I would never, like it was such an incredible experience for me that changed really changed the course of my life in a lot of ways. I do find them like really fun and really great. And it's so great to be able to push yourself because I'm not going to lie, like it's challenging to sing on television for millions of people who are like voting for you or not. Thank goodness I was 16 years old because I don't know if I would have the chutzpah and the confidence to do it now at 31. But
you've got the self-awareness now. That's
yes,
what it is.
exactly. That's exactly it. I didn't have that. I didn't have that when I was 16. I was kind of like super fearless and I was just like, oh yeah, no, like I just want to perform and do this. And it is like, it was an incredible experience. Like truly it was, it's hard to describe because I was also so young and, it was like in a vacuum. It was odd. Like it was just like, people cheering for you and having signs and posters with your face on it and screaming your name when you're singing on stage. Like it's pretty wild. Like it's a wild experience. And looking in the camera and singing your song and going like, wow, I'm making eye contact with potentially millions of people who are watching this right now in Canada. And but I'm so glad I went through it. I would never want to take it back. It was a pretty cool experience.
Oh, good. Well, I did have a question about the NDA, which you undoubtedly would have signed.
Yes.
Because that's another thing. I for my own curiosity, obviously with the producing side and performance side, I understand both sides. So I'm always curious how people feel about their little NDAs and what that's like when it runs out and you can finally just talk about your time on it.
Well, the good thing about Canadian Idol is that I just couldn't talk about getting into the top 22.
Okay.
So what happened is that, they have the Hell Week, they call it, where everybody flies to Toronto and people get eliminated every day and you stay up all night, like learning these songs and then barely sleeping and then going to do, like they call it the Hell Week for a reason. Like it was a pretty grueling time. But after that, when they pick the top 22, there was like a month or 2 months before they go to live shows that I couldn't talk about getting into the top 22. But that's all that happened really. Otherwise, if I'm not mistaken, once we were actually doing the live shows from the top 22 to the top like 5, as long as I was on the show, everything was happening live, like in real time on television. But I will say we weren't, this was like sort of when the internet was still a bit scarce. So we weren't allowed to like really talk or post about anything, but there was also nothing happening of that sort. Like on the internet yet. So it wasn't really an issue because none of us, like my first cell phone I got on Canadian Idol, like in 2006. And like I learned how to text on it and call my parents. And that was about it. Like that was like, my first real experience. So there was no real huge access to the internet. But during the time we were doing the live shows, no interviews were happening. We weren't going outside. Like the publicists weren't making us talk to any press. They were doing their own thing. But then when we would get eliminated, that's when you would do like kind of like the press junket of getting eliminated, all the morning shows, the radio stuff, like whatever. But other than that, like I said, I think the only time we signed papers that said you can't talk about this was before, when we got to the top 22, we weren't allowed to really talk about it.
Wow, you were lucky then. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, totally. Listen, it was honestly the
lucky.
age like a little bit before the internet was like a big thing. So it was like, it was easier then.
Yeah,
Oh God, I sound so old saying that. At no point during Canadian Idol did I ever feel like they were exploiting us.
Yeah.
I was also very young, but honestly, it was the nicest group of people and everybody
Canadians.
Really cared. Oh yeah.
But
everybody really cared about us doing a great job and us feeling happy and feeling good about ourselves. And it was just the nicest. It was like a love cocoon. Like I never felt, yes, it was stressful to be on the show. There was a lot of work to be done. We were like always working on something, but I always loved the work, of course. So that wasn't an issue. Yeah, no, it was always just, they were so they were just so understanding and they treated us so well. So I have like no qualms when it comes to that. They were just the most wonderful people worked on that show. People, yeah, there's a few people I still keep in touch with. So just like so nice. Like they always cared very much.
Yeah. Oh, good. I remember
Yeah.
our second season Idol winner, Casey Donovan, won, and she's got an amazing voice. The
Mhm.
day after she won, they put out the advertisements for her album.
Yeah.
And instead of having the address as .com.au, they had it as .com, which led to the website of a porn star.
No, stop it.
No joke.
Oh my gosh.
A
that
gay
is
male porn star.
just- Oh
that-
no.
It's funny, but it was sad.
It's
at the time. But
hilarious,
it's
but, like,
funny.
how
It's sad. It's like,
Can you
that poor
imagine
girl, but that's
her-
hilarious. Oh yeah,
poor girl.
and I've seen her career blossom in theater, musical theater.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
I mean, I would love her to release more pop, but it's not about Casey Donovan. I just thought you might find that story pretty funny.
I love that story. I think
That's,
it's hilarious.
Yeah,
truly.
I don't
Yeah.
think was it Eva Avila who won
Yes.
your
Oh my
season?
gosh. That's a season that I was on. She won. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine them doing that to her.
Oh, right. Oh man, that'd be so crazy. I
But,
love it.
Oh, one thing I meant to bloody hell, I meant to put this in the episode. Okay, so
Yes.
hang on, I am still recording. Okay, so when I took my very first girlfriend to see Come From Away recently, right?
Yes.
And I mean, like, very first girlfriend from when we were 6 years old, sitting up
Oh,
in my
that's
brother's treehouse, kissing each
Yeah.
other on the lips, and I would touch,
Love it.
touch
Of
a little bum
course.
bum and stuff like that. And
Yep.
we actually got in trouble in the classroom at school because we were both obsessed with Rocky Horror.
Oh, Rocky
And-
Horror is like one of my favorite musicals of all time.
It is amazing. And as children, we didn't really separate what was sexual stuff and what was just an amazing song.
Yes.
So, of course, when we're singing and dancing to Rocky Horror in the classroom and we decide to do Touch Me,
Yes.
which we
Uh-oh.
reenacted in front of everyone else in the class.
Oh man, that's a funny story. Oh, that's funny.
She still remembers it, right? Because we're still friends and
Of course.
laugh about that time. But yeah, we got in such trouble. But okay, so the reason I'm bringing up Katie is that, and so I picked Come From Away as the first show that we were going to go see.
Of course.
And I said to her, "Do not read about it. I want you to go in
it's so
blind."
good going into it blind. Yeah,
It is. I want you to have
Yeah.
the reaction or at least a reaction similar to what I had. And so we got in, sat down, the show started or whatever. We were a tiny bit late. And at the end of it, she turned to me and she goes, "That was really good. What was it about?"
Oh my god.
And I said,
Oh my
"Katie,
god, that's so funny.
Katie, that was about 9/11." And the
Oh my
look
God.
on her face, she was like, "Oh my God." I'm like,
Oh wow.
"Yeah. How did
Yeah.
you miss that?
How did she miss it?
How the hell did you miss
It's
that?"
only mentioned like 10 times in the
I
show.
know. And it's just like, "Well, I was thinking, what's this big thing that's like, I knew something was happening."
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
And I'm like, "How did you
Like
miss
if you're
it?"
walking away knowing one thing about the show, usually it's like it's about 9/11.
9/11. That's
Chances
it.
are.
That's it.
Oh man.
That's the descriptor when people say, "What's it about?" That's the one thing that
Yes.
comes
Yeah,
to
it's
mind.
about 9/11. Yeah.
And that's why I
Wow.
didn't want to tell her what it was about, because I didn't want her to go in with some sort of preconceived notion of it's going to be depressing or it's
Oh god.
you know what I'm like. They were going to do an actual representation of 9/11 in musical form.
Oh, right. You're right. That's what I was telling Gareth before. Like, if you ever,
yeah.
the people who come to me and they're like, "What's Come From Away about?" I'm like, okay, how am I going to play this one?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
you just have to see it to believe it.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so I didn't want to spoil it for her in any way, shape, or form. And apparently I should have, because that would have saved her 100
Yeah, I
minutes of
guess like the trouble of not
yeah,
not knowing what it was about.
absolutely
bless
not
her
knowing what
heart.
it was about. I mean,
At
and
least she
she's
still enjoyed it.
yeah, that's
That's
it.
the important part.
I mean, obviously there was still a bunch more questions that I won't ever get to, but that's cool. You are welcome to join us anytime. You talk,
You're so sweet.
talk as much as I do, so that's great. And
listen, you have content for like so many hours now. Like, good luck editing this
too.
down.
Yes.
I do not envy you, especially after doing so much editing for Check-In From Away, like every moment of my life. I don't envy you that you have to edit through all this right now.
No. Oh yeah, I can hear the narrative that we'll make of this episode, and even if it has to be 2 parts, then that's fine. So
Great.
I'll
I would be
quickly-
honored to be 2 parts.
Yes, but you would be our first 2-parter if that ends up being the case, because
I love being people's firsts.
Well,
That's great. Great. I love it.
No, I prefer to be the sloppy seconds myself, but that's
Of
each
course.
to their own. I do want to ask this of you though. Sorry, what is one gritty role? Because you've done a lot of dark shows, but
I
the
have.
characters have been nice and bubbly, or at least not dark themselves. So what is one role that you are willing to sink your teeth into, to get real down and dirty, to show the world what Steffi D is really made of?
Goodness gracious. It's interesting you're saying that because I have done a lot of dark shows. So you're saying, like, what's a dream role?
Yeah, well, like something that is a dark role, because obviously Natalie isn't the darkest role in Next to Normal, and Sally Bowles, she's bright and bubbly and adorable.
It's funny, like some people might say Sally Bowles is bright and bubbly, but she's also like super effed up.
Well, yeah, I will agree with
You
that.
know what
there,
I
but-
mean? And then I'm trying to think, I'm going down like my resume in my head here. I have also played Wednesday Addams in the Addams
Okay,
Family, the
yeah.
Canadian premiere. I mean, she's a pretty dark
Andrew
character,
Lipper.
but then again, yes, that's right. She does like turn a corner in the musical and kind of
Mm.
like likes bright things and falls in love and whatever. I have also done Rocky Horror Show, which I loved doing, of course. Trying to think if I've done anything else like dark. I mean, Spring Awakening was dark, I guess. Next to Normal, yeah, like Natalie, not the darkest character, but definitely goes through a journey, you know?
Oh, they all do in that show. I have seen that. That's one I have seen, and it's very depressing.
Oh, yeah, it is very
It's
depressing.
very,
Great
very
show.
depressing. The music is fantastic, but it's a slog to
Yes.
get through, because it's a hard watch.
It is such a hard watch.
Considering
You
what
know,
it's about.
you've kind of stumped me here because I'm trying to
Aha.
think of dream roles now that are like dark and gritty that I'd love to play.
You know
And
what,
I really have to think about it.
gender bend and play Bat Boy. Next time there's a production of Bat Boy,
Oh my
I'd say
God.
go out
I
for
would
it.
love to do
Yeah.
Bad Boy.
'Cause, look,
I used to listen to that soundtrack all the time as a teenager. I'm sorry I didn't have an answer for you for that one. I
no,
honestly,
that's fine.
I like can't even.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Like I'm racking my brain. Like what's a character? Like
We'll go with
gotta
Bat
play.
Boy. Let's go with Bat Boy.
Yeah,
because
great.
That's a great
Great.
part, and it could be played by male or female.
I actually love that idea of doing a gender bending Bat Boy.
Well, the show is gender bent anyways, but even
Yeah.
then, like I don't.
I know. I think I know what
Yep.
part I would love to play. And can I tell you? Okay, would like to say that I came up with this idea before they did the idea, and then when they did the idea and it got to Broadway, I was like, "Holy shit! I had thought of this." I always said, because I was obsessed with Company when I was young. I loved that soundtrack.
Yep.
I always said that Bobby should be played by a woman
Yep.
because it almost makes more sense because 35th birthday, she's unmarried, has no kids. That something about the gender roles of that made so much more sense almost than like a single guy being a bachelor, like woohoo, like whoop-de-doo. But Bobby in Company is like a part I would love to play.
Yeah.
And like I guess like it is still sort of light, but it still has like a lot of like gritty like human nature content in there. You know what
There
I
is,
mean? Like
yeah.
it's still like it's very like introspective stuff. And I think I would really like to play that part.
Yes, that's another. I don't say that as gender bent though. I just say that as you being cast as the role. Does that
Totally.
make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Because I think to make a big deal about it is to say a what would be a good example for it? I'm trying to think. Say that there was an all black version of Godspell, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that as colorblind casting or say that as an all black version. I just see that as a version of Godspell.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Totally.
And that's why I don't get offended by the terms or whatnot, but I just think they're being put on there to appeal to the people who are
Right.
calling
Yeah.
for it. Does that make sense? Like the new
Yeah,
the
totally.
Ghostbusters movie, that wasn't a gender bent Ghostbusters.
No,
That
it was
was a
just a version of it. You're
it was
totally
just
right.
another
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, and that's
Yeah.
why we do theater, is so that one company can take that show and do it their way, and then the next company takes a show and does
Totally.
it their
Yeah.
way, and you're
Yeah.
going to get you're going to get a hairspray that has Tracy Turnblad, who is skinny or is Asian or is this thing or is
Yeah.
that thing, and it's not going to be a thing because it's just the casting.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
You know, and there's a little bit of a difference when they reinterpret a show or, you know, change it
Sure.
up in a way like they did with Spring Awakening with the Deaf
Mhm.
West production,
Yes.
which actually made it a don't knock the mic, which actually made it a production on its own right. But then I look at putting Ali Stoker is her name in
Yes.
Oklahoma, and I see that as an actress getting a part. I don't see that as, you know, something that,
Yes, absolutely.
you know, like a badge
Also,
of
Aaron,
honor. Like, you're just doing your
yeah.
jobs, kids.
Yes, yes. And can I tell you, I saw that
Oh,
production
did
of
you? Would you go?
Oklahoma
Well,
on
you saw
Broadway.
Mary Tester. You got to see
I
Mary
saw,
Tester in it.
yeah, I think,
Oh,
yeah,
she's
all the
wonderful.
OG cast was on
Yep.
when I saw it.
Oh,
I have
wow.
to tell you, it was one of the wildest 3.5
Yeah.
hour things I've ever sat through, but one of my favorite things I've ever seen on Broadway.
Really? Oh, wow.
It
I'm
was
so jealous.
mind blowing. It was so good. I
Yeah.
never thought I could like Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Like, it was so good.
Yeah.
So good. And also the soundtrack is so good too. Like, that's such a great sound. That's a great version of Oklahoma. Like, it's
Yep.
so great. It's super. It was so sexy. It was like very raw and very like naked, just like very,
Yep.
just in the words, like you're like, wow, they didn't change anything about in the libretto or in the lyrics or anything. Nothing was changed. It was just completely redirected and contemporized in terms of like the way they dressed and whatever. But that's what was incredible, is that I was like, when was this written?
Mhm.
Because it still stands like perfectly now. It's insane how good that show is.
Oh man, I'm so jealous.
So where can people find you on socials and find Check-In From Away?
Oh my gosh, yes. Thank you so much for letting me plug all of the things.
Yes, that's what we're here for.
Listen, yes, of course. So listen, people can find me on Instagram at Steffi D5. That's STEFFID5. And then on Twitter at Steffi D3. And then Check-In From Away is also on Twitter and on Instagram. And our Instagram handle is Check-In From Away, just at Check-In From Away. And then on Twitter, it's Check Away. We couldn't do Check-In From Away on Twitter because apparently it was too long of a handle. But also, if you want to watch Check-In From Away, you can watch it on the Mervish YouTube channel. That's Mervish Productions YouTube channel. And all 24 episodes are ready to be binged online. And we have our season 2 coming out, premiering February 9th.
Oh, wow. That's only a week away. What
Yes, that's
perfect
it.
timing then.
I know. Perfect.
But yes, anyway, so before we go, I've kicked Gareth out of the studio for next week's episode. Obviously, he's not here now for the goodbyes, but that's fine. Next week, I'll be joined by Ryan Tuzel from rising Aussie metal band Brave Today, where we're going to juxtapose Little Shop of Horrors against Periphery 2. This time it's personal, and he's a mate of mine, so this time it really will be personal. So look out for my chat with the charismatic frontman of this exciting Sydney-based outfit. And fun fact, he's good looking, he's a genuinely nice guy, and he can sing. Fuck that guy.
That's really nice. Yeah, that's a really great compliment.
I know, right? It's like, fuck that
Yeah.
guy. I can't stand
You
him.
want
He's too
people
perfect.
to think that about you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
you
but
want
he is.
people to be like, fuck that girl, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. And on that useless note, thanks again to Steffi D Oh my god, I nearly did it then too.
There you
For
go.
those listening at home, the conversation will be cut, but we've just had a conversation about saying Steffi's name with attitude,
Yes.
with a bit of chutzpah behind it, with a bit of
Of course.
you don't know me, so if you see her on the street, be nice and be respectful to her, and do not
Thank you.
talk to her in a ghetto way like I have been. So, and
Thanks
yes,
so much,
okay.
Aaron.
No
Thank
worries.
Gareth for me when you see him next, and I can't wait to hear the episode.
Yep, and stay safe and chukas.
Thank you.
I'm sure you know what that
Yes.
means by now.
Yes, of course. Yes, I've seen it a lot online since I followed the Australian company.
Yes, it's because good luck means bad luck, and break a leg
Yes.
means that you actually will, or something will break. So
Oh, okay.
we say chukas because it mutes all superstition.
Ah, there you go. Okay, I love it. Great.
So-
I feel like we should use that in Canada.
Yes.
I love.
As I say, anytime you want to join us again, I am slowly building up my jazz hands army to take down Gareth, slowly but surely.
Oh, anytime, Aaron. Honestly, I'm convinced that if you have me on the show a few times, that Gareth is going to be a musical theater fan by the end of all of
yes.
this.
It will be full metal jazz hands.
Exactly.
And on that note, for you at home, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Hooroo.
Bye.
Awesome.